So much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka. To our very first story, the Economist Intelligence Unit is predicting a persistent rise in the value of the US dollar as the American greenback remains close to an all-time high in real effective terms. However, the Cedi has so far this week recorded some marginal gains against the American greenback. More in this report.
Economic Intelligence Unit has updated its forecast for global real GDP growth in 2024 to 2.5%, slightly up from the previous estimate of 2.4%. This indicates that growth will remain stable rather than slow down from 2023, reflecting the surprising resilience of the global economy amidst high interest rates and ongoing geopolitical risks. One of the key drivers behind this upward revision is the improved growth outlook for the United States, now projected to expand by 2.2% in 2024, up from an earlier forecast of 2%. The EIU also anticipates that the US dollar will continue to appreciate for a third consecutive year in 2024, countering early expectations of a mild depreciation. This adjustment is largely due to a stronger than expected depreciation in the yen and a revised outlook that no longer includes an appreciation of the euro. Overall, while the short-term outlook for 2024 shows resilience and stability, the longer-term forecast points to challenges and slower growth due to increasing economic fragmentation and inefficiencies in global supply chains.
All right, so pretty soon we shall get economists and, of course, a currency analyst on the back of this, Courage Boti, to help us understand what this means to our economy as we make strides towards, sustaining the value of the Cedi, juxtaposing that to the performance of the US dollar in the coming days. And pretty soon, Courage Boti will join us for some analysis on that. But we've got to take this story. Ghana Shippers Authority has stated that it is engaged in the Bank of Ghana to fix a workable exchange rate regime for importers at the ports. The assurance comes years of complaints from importers due to the exchange rate volatilities. The following report has more.
The Ghana Shippers Authority engaged key stakeholders in the industry as part of measures to seek the input of importers ahead of its proposal to amend the country's Shipping Act. The amendments will address issues such as demurrage administrative charges, taxes, and impact of exchange rate volatilities on the operations of importers. Speaking to the media after a breakfast meeting for top shippers in the Southern Zone, Head Business Development and Commercial Services at the authority, Fred Esiedu-Date, said they are hopeful the meeting with the Bank of Ghana will be fruitful.
So the industry has a challenge with the arbitrary application of exchange rates. This matter has been with us for quite a bit, and we have engaged at the highest level, the Bank of Ghana, on it to give direction in terms of how to address it. They have provided some guidelines, and we are following through. In fact, we have done some extensive work, but we are yet to engage with the Bank of Ghana, and we believe that that process will lead to a definitive, pronouncement or directive that will lead us all out of this quagmire.
Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Kwesi Bafo-Sapon, announced that the GHC will be celebrating its 50th anniversary this year.
As we mark our Golden Jubilee anniversary this year, the need for the authority to remain responsive and relevant in the dynamic international trade environment becomes more compelling. The next decade or more presents an opportunity for us all to consolidate the efforts to promote and enhance the competitiveness of the entire commercial shipping industry. This will necessitate fresh ideas and a reimagining of our strategic direction to pave the way for the profitability and competitiveness of Ghana's import and export business.
Goil PLC at its annual general meeting has kept its dividend to shareholders at 0.056 pesos per share for the 2023 financial year. This will amount to 22 million cedis. Now, the company recorded a dip in profit after tax of 54.7 million cedis, which represents 55% fall. Board chairman of the company, Reginald Daniel Lai, explained that the adoption of sound financial operating and marketing strategies enabled the company to post the result.
Goil PLC on its assets noted that even though the consolidated total asset decreased from 4.6 billion Ghana cedis in 2022 to 4 billion cedis in 2023, the consolidated non-current asset, including property, plant and equipment, grew from 1.4 billion cedis in 2022 to 1.6 billion cedis in 2023, representing a 14.58% increase. This highlights the company's continued investment in key assets to support future growth and sustainability.
Even though the consolidated total assets decreased from 4.6 billion in 2022 to 4 billion in 2023, the consolidated non-current assets, including property, plant, and equipment, grew from 1.4 billion in 2022 to 1.6 billion in 2023, representing a 14.58% increase. This highlights our continued investment in key assets to support future growth and sustainability. Additionally, the modest current earnings per share (EPS) of 0.14 Ghana cedis showcase our resilience and ability to generate returns for shareholders even in extremely difficult times. I would like to take this opportunity to express my profound appreciation for your steadfast support and confidence in your company. Your shareholding is highly valued and cherished. Therefore, despite the challenges we faced, the board has made the decision to maintain and recommend a dividend payment of 0.56 per share, reflecting our commitment to shareholder value and our optimism.
Managing Director of Goil PLC, Kwame Prempeh, said the company will continue to showcase its resilience and its ability to generate returns for shareholders as a demonstration of keeping faith with them even in times of difficulties.
CSR, you should consider some of the victims of the Jones. In fact, the CSR cuts across everybody. If there is a need for us to do something, you will do, not to implicate ourselves or consider we are liable for what the unfortunate event there. We do it as far as possible because they are Ghanaians who are suffering. So just as we are doing for every Ghanaian, you do it. You do that. But we are very cautious in commenting on or doing anything which may be interpreted as undermining the case in court.
Goil noted that it has identified a strategic partner with whom it has signed a farm-out agreement with after the conducting mutual due diligence. The signing of a new farm-out agreement follows the pull-out and exit of ExxonMobil from the Deepwater Cape Freeport Block Petroleum Agreement.
Now, more on AGMs. The shareholders of Ecobank Transnational Incorporated will not enjoy any dividend for 2023. This is despite the record revenue posted last year and profit before tax reaching $500 million. George Yafe reports from Lome, where the bank is holding its annual general meeting.
Annual general meeting brought together managing directors, chairmen from the various subsidiaries, and shareholders across the region to deliberate on financials for the bank last year. Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, the parent company for Ecobank Ghana, had gone through a similar path in the past in terms of not paying dividend due to challenging results at that time. However, it resumed payment for dividend from 2021. Therefore, it was the expectation of shareholders that following the record performance for last year, they were assured of some dividend payment for last year. But speaking at the bank's annual general meeting in Lome, Togo, Group Chairman Alan Okoshaw said that they needed to go this way to help recapitalize some of their subsidiaries, including Ecobank Ghana.
We are finding ourselves in a situation where we need to prioritize safety, strength from a regulatory perspective to start with, in order to basically continue our journey towards value creation. So yes, it might sound a bit frustrating to have a situation where the top line looks quite commendable, but on the other side, dividend not being paid. But what we just, or at least from my own perspective as I'm moving forward, is to deal with the management and the new board on what they committed to achieve, and I'm very confident, as the outgoing director and the shareholder, that this is actually going to be delivered, and hopefully we will go back on the path of consistent dividend payment throughout the years.
Group Chief Executive Jeremy Awori on his part was excited that some good times ahead for the banks based on what they are doing now.
We are developing new propositions, we're investing in technology, we're investing in our people, and you will see more about that. And we were very pleased last week to be voted the SME Bank of the Year by the African Banker Awards, which shows the early progress that we're making on making a difference within the SME sector. So we're committed. We believe we can make a difference. We're a growing business, and we're excited to be stepping forth, and we're optimistic about the prospects for Africa and the prospects for our business, and we're counting on all your support as we embark on this new exciting journey under the new leadership of Papa.
Ecobank Transnational Incorporated witnessed some strong growth in other areas of its operations apart from revenue and profit before tax.
This is still Business Life. We are back with more. Hello, welcome back to the program, and I would like to take you back to our earlier story where the Economist Intelligence Unit is predicting a persistent rise in the value of the US dollar as the American greenback remains close in an all-time high in real effective terms. And it is for this reason that is why we want to engage economists, and who is also the research lead of GCB Capital, Courage Boutique, to help us understand these dynamics. Thanks so much, Courage. And EIU is saying that the US dollar remains close to an all-time high in real effective terms, and thus it is a reflection on the strength of the US economy, basically. Why can't same be said about the Cedi? Where have we gone wrong?
Well, so yeah, good evening and good evening to your listeners. The Cedi's performance is driven by a lot of factors, one of which includes the external sector developments and how those markets are reacting. The US is a stronger economy. The world's reserve currency is the US dollar. And the general outlook for US this year has been that there may be a soft landing. And so far, despite the disappointment with interest rate decision so far, where the market generally expect that by now there could have been a few cuts already, but as of yet, there is none delivered yet. Interest rates are still quite high. And I think the data that keeps coming out point to the fact that, yes, we are headed for that soft landing in the US economy. And I think for keeping interest rate that high for longer means that the outflows that were expected into emerging and developing markets where Ghana could benefit is not happening yet. And interest rates are still record high, which means foreign investment is still flowing into the US economy. And all of these will support the currency to the level of stability they have now. And it's the stark opposite to our situation where, yes, you are not seeing repatriations like we saw in 2022 and 2023, but then you're also not seeing as much inflows. I think I gleaned from the latest summary of economic and financial data, the external sector, that our net portfolio inflows or balance has turned into a positive, but a marginal one. It just gives us a sense that if things correct sufficiently, we should begin to see inflows coming in. But then at this point in time, that is not the case. And the case in the US is that because interest rates are high at record levels, the treasury yields benchmarks are all at record levels, you see investment flowing in there. Investment could have been flowing out to other emerging markets, which explains why their currency is quite resilient against most other currencies. So we need to get, I think, the external debt restructuring out of the way, the commercial one out of the way. When we do that, sentiment will begin to correct a bit, and then we can begin to see inflows into the local market, which should support currency stability going forward.
All right,
already we are seeing a bit of correction on the local market, signs of probably things to come, and maybe a result of the recent pronouncement by the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance and all of that. But it's a matter of time and we anchoring those sentiments properly. And when we do that, there could be a bit of correction going forward.
And talking about recovery, we must admit that the Cedi for this week has made some marginal gains against the dollar of about 0.41% to the US dollar. Now, is this impressive, and what are the dynamics playing out here?
Well, that's what I'm trying to allude to. A lot of pronouncements in recent weeks, assurance of reserve, clamp down on the Forex Bureau operators to enforce the rules, and all that. What that will do is that it will weaken the speculative sentiment that was driving the currency lower and lower by the day, really. And so it's normal that you see some correction. But, you know, the thing about these movements is that once it tests a certain level, it can always go back there. And the correction won't bring it to where it started from, whatever the case may be. And so it's about how we sustain whatever sentiment is leading to the correction. It's how we sustain that going forward. And I see that a lot of it also from the central bank paying the level of intervention they are having on the market, which I don't think is sustainable, but of course is welcome at this point in time, but I don't think it's sustainable. So it is how they anchor sentiment around what they are doing now that will influence the extent to which the correction can go. But it's a welcome development. It doesn't mean anyone that a Cedi to a dollar is changing over 15 cedis. It doesn't help anyone at all.
And you are saying the signs we are seeing now is not sustainable. And I dare say, how then do we change the narrative going forward?
No, what I'm saying is not about the signs. What I'm saying is the level of intervention that is bringing the correction. I don't think we can sustain that for a long time. So we need ultimately not just be providing like supply to meet the demand levels. There's a certain level of frivolity in the levels of demand you are seeing. So we need to be able to separate effective demand from those that are speculating and then meet those. For instance, if Bank of Ghana, just for argument's sake, is doing $50 million every week as intervention, is this something we can sustain for the next maybe 7, 5, 6 months? I don't think so. Ultimately, it has to come back to a level that is sustainable. That is what I mean. So the correction, whether it will continue or not, and where it could get to will depend on how we effectively anchor sentiment. Effectively me saying that if you can eradicate the speculative triggers, then you can get a long-term stability. But if it's about just injecting liquidity now to fuel or to meet the levels of demand there, how long can we go with the interventions we're having now? That's the point I'm making. I'm not saying the correction will not be sustainable.
That's fine.
I'm talking about the level of intervention. Yeah.
I appreciate the clarity there. Thank you so much, Courage Boti, Research Lead, GCB Capital, for your insights this very moment. Now, to some other stories. Government has cleared its indebtedness to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust (NIT) in terms of public sector workers' contributions. About 2.6 billion cedis was made to the trust last month. Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, John Quaidin Mbros, disclosed this on PM Express Business Edition, which airs tonight on Joy News at 9 p.m.
Very well, dotted reasonably throughout the country, have compliance, and therefore they have a mandate also for Tier 1. So many people do the Tier 1. Tier 2, yes, will have to come behind the schemes that are going around and the reports that we get from individuals who are working for some entities that are not paying, and our own compliance soups that we do. And these are the tools or the strategies that we use to actually catch up with those who are perhaps doing Tier 1 and not doing Tier 2. These are mandatory schemes, as you know. Tier 1 is mandatory, Tier 2. Once you employ somebody, you are supposed to pay Tier 1 and Tier 2. So we are doing a lot in terms of compliance to ensure that people pay. But if you don't pay, and then somebody reports you or we find out, there is this surcharge that we apply. The law enjoins you to pay 3% surcharge. And we make sure that those things are done. And failure of which then we hold it before a judge. Prosecutions, and I think you are aware.
Are you doing that? Has it gotten to that stage where you have to pull employer?
Oh yes, several of them. We've done several prosecutions. We've sent about 40 or more than 40 cases, and some of them have actually complied by paying. We've retrieved over 20 million from indeed prosecutions.
And PM Express Business Edition airs tonight at 9 p.m. here on the Joy News channel. Do make a date with George Biafe and the CEO of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. The good thing is that, however, is we've got more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. EIU predicts persistent stronger US dollar. $1 equals 14 cedis, 90 pesos, and we're quite heavy on that here on Business Life. Also on that portal, cement prices surge to 108 Ghana cedis, defying Trade Minister's directive. We've got more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Grateful serving you. I am Pius Kojo Baka. See you soon. Bye.